Prince Harry on his way to the UK, expected to arrive in the next few hours for a reunion with his dad. As you'd imagine, King Charles's cancer diagnosis makes all the front pages this morning, with Buckingham Palace insisting the King remains wholly positive as he begins his treatment. Well, it's less than 24 hours since the news was released, and overnight, of course, it's been making headlines all across the world. Well, Royal Editor Russell Myers joins me now alongside our Dr Amir. Well, obviously, sad news, of course. Our thoughts are with him, but what changed times?
Oh, fair enough.
That he has actually talked about it. I know people have been talking about this, but it really is quite remarkable, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, we come back to the Buckingham Palace statement saying that the King is wholly positive about his diagnosis and his treatment plan, but very, very much so. I mean, you couldn't have even imagined this in sort of the Queen's generation or Prince Philip coming out, walking out the front steps of the hospital and then speaking about such an important diagnosis as this. So we are in different times, and I think the mark of the man. We often speak about Charles being from a bygone era, but very forward-thinking to speak about his diagnosis. Yeah. And this is, going to help an immeasurable amount of people, I'm sure.
Well, it is, and Amir, we've already seen that, haven't we? The sort of King effect, if you want to call it that, when he talked about, getting the operation for his prostate, and immediately, people were, you could see the effect right away. People were, looking for help, suddenly realising that they need to check themselves, all of these things.
That's right, and that's what this will do. With the prostate, we saw a 1,000% increase of visits to the NHS Advice website when it came to prostate, particularly men. We want more men to talk about sensitive issues like their prostate, like their urinary symptoms. But with cancer, if someone's watching this and thinking, oh, I've got this unexplained persistent symptom, it might prompt them to go and get checked. Or if there's a letter waiting at their house somewhere that just put away for cervical, bowel or breast screening, ring that number, because hopefully this will have been caught early for King Charles and it can be treated effectively. And if things are caught early, if it's caught in the screening programme particularly, the prognosis, the outcome is so much better.
No, absolutely it is. And it just shows that cancer is no respecter of, it doesn't matter how famous, rich or important you may think you are, cancer is cancer.
I think that's really important, because there'll be people watching this saying, well, he's the King, he'll have immediate treatment, he'll have the best treatment. And that is true, and there is incredible unfair wait times on the NHS for people being diagnosed with cancer right now. But on an emotional level, it's the same. When you hear that word cancer, no matter who you are, that shock, that numbness that comes with it, the guilt, the denial, the anger, all of those complex emotions that come when you hear that diagnosis of cancer on a human level is the same for everyone. And I think that's how we have to look at it.
No, absolutely. I mean, Russell, it has ripples, doesn't it? And obviously, the person it's going to affect most, apart from the King himself, is his wife, Camilla. There's going to be a lot of pressure on her, as well as all of the other royals too.
Well, there is. I mean, she's 76 herself, taking on an awful lot of engagements last week, having to step up to the place. I think we've often talked about a slimmed-down monarchy. Well, it's looking pretty threadbare at the moment. I mean, Princess of Wales still recuperating at home for several weeks after abdominal surgery, and the King is going to now take an extended period of time to recover himself. So I think, not only Camilla, but there's a heavy burden on Prince William's shoulders as well. I mean, he's going to be returning to work tomorrow, and then we wait and see what extra duties he's going to be taking on.
No, that's true, but they've got Princess Anne.
Well, they do.
I always think...
I think she's doing 3 jobs just today. So,
she'll be doing 93
all over the country.
jobs.
Right.
I mean that's thank goodness that they've got her to rely on. Apart from that, picking up the slack, but just being there, this ultra-sensible, no-nonsense woman, I think is going to be hugely important.
Well, certainly. I mean, you talk about the effect on not just the person going through it, but the families as well. And we know that Charles had called not only his siblings, but his 2 sons personally, and of course Harry dropping everything and flying into the UK in just a matter of hours. And I think that speaks of the seriousness, not necessarily the condition, but obviously about his feelings towards wanting to be by his father's side.
Oh yeah, that's when families should come together. Paul Burrell is with us, and Paul, we've just been talking about the fact that this is very different to when you were working with the Queen, when you were working with even with the Princess of Wales, the late Princess of Wales Diana. For the openness is quite remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, there's been a seismic change between relations from the palace to the public, and it's incredible, and it can only be for the good. But, Lorraine, there is a caveat here. That's it. I think that statement which Buckingham Palace made will be the statement, and there will not be ongoing statements telling you that, well, the King's form of cancer is this and his treatment is this. I don't think it's going to go in that direction.
Right.
But I applaud the transparency of the communications department at Buckingham Palace and the King, because on his platform, then he can reach so many other people. And Russell's right, cancer impacts not only the patient, but family and friends. And as a cancer survivor myself, I wanted my sons to know first. My husband and my sons were the first people that knew about my condition. And I embraced them. And although cancer is destructive, in a way, it does bring families together and reminds you of your own mortality. And I think this is what the King is going through now. He's thinking about how much longer have I got? And poor William, at the end of the day, poor William has this awful responsibility coming his way, hurtling down the track faster than he thought it would. Now, I know the King will recover from this, but it shows that he is in a fragile condition. And if the King can't make the CHOGM meeting in India later this year, and he can't go on to New Zealand for a tour, then it's going to fall back on William to do these responsibilities and to step up for the King. So there's an awful lot of pressure on William.
You're right, and also his wife isn't well too, so he's got,
No.
you know, he's got that,
No.
you know, that added pressure as well.
Yeah, his father's sick, his wife's sick, his brother's gone AWOL. As you said, thank God for Princess Anne, because she's never sick and she just soldiers on. She's just incredible. Always was, always will be.
Yeah, she's like her mum. She's like her late mum,
Yes.
and her dad, actually, to be fair.
Yes.
What do you think, though? Harry is coming back, which is good, which is really good. And we
Yes.
hope, I mean, for goodness sake, if that doesn't build bridges, I don't think anything will. But the relationship
yes,
between...
with my sons, yes.
Yeah, between William and,
Yep.
and Harry, that's going to be the thing. Hopefully that somehow, you know, they'll come together. I hope so.
Yes, Lorraine, it brought me closer to my sons. We speak almost every day now. We went periods when we didn't speak for weeks because they're in America and I'm here. But now we make time to speak to each other. And I think Harry getting on an airplane in Los Angeles and flying to England to see his sick father is a very positive move. And that bridge will be mended between father and son. I've no doubt about that, as it was with me. But the bridge between William and Harry is a more difficult one to bridge, to mend, because so much has been said, so many insults have been thrown around, and what's said can't be taken back. And it's very difficult to mend. And of course, that involves Kate as well, it involves the wider royal family. You know, I feel for William so much because I know how sensitive he is. I know he's a good boy. I know he wants to do his best. I mean, I still call him William. I don't call him Prince of Wales. It's William to me. And when I've met him in the past, I've spoken openly and honestly with him. And I know he's considered and measured, and he's his mother's son, and he wants to do the best he can for his father. And he wants to make this work between him and his brother. I'm hoping that this illness with the King will bring both boys back together. That's what Diana would have wanted. That's what would make her happy, and it will make the circle complete again.
No, it would. You're absolutely right. It'll be interesting, won't it, Russell, to see whether or not what Prince Harry does. Maybe it's just a visit back to, you know, to just say how, to see his dad, you know, to actually give him a hug and say, how are you, and all of this. But do you think there's any way he could actually come back into the fold at all?
Well, I don't think into the fold, but, you know...
Like maybe I don't know.
Adversity is a great leveller for some families, and I think you pull together in times of trouble, and that may be what the King and Harry will do over the next few weeks and months. It'll be a different situation with William, I think.
We wish them all the best. It's all you can do, absolutely. And Amir, thank you very much indeed. And as you say, it's got people talking about things that normally they don't talk about, and which is a good thing. Thank you both, and thank you to Paul. Always good to talk to you, Paul. Thank you so much.